Netflix hit show Adolescence has captivated audiences with its realistic portrayal of teenage life and the challenges that come with it. The show centers around Jamie Miller, a 13-year-old boy who is accused of murdering his classmate Katie.
He's a good kid.
Jamie, I want you to listen carefully.
What's going on?
I'm going to start off with asking you.
Do you know a girl called Katie Leonard? Yeah? Describe each other as friends then.
Is she dead then?
Why would you ask that?
The series delves into the investigation and the psychological and social factors that may have led to the crime, including themes of toxic masculinity and social alienation. My next guest feels Adolescence is an important watch for parents, especially those who find themselves grappling with the use of social media. I'm joined by clinical psychologist and co-founder of June Care, Dr. Amy Mezulis. She's also the author of a book on teen mental health called Reversing the Spiral of Depression for Teens. Amy, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So what are your overall thoughts after watching Adolescence? I know.
It's powerful. I think it's a really powerful commentary on what it is like to be a teen right now and what it's like to try to parent a teen in this kind of new age of social media and the internet.
Absolutely. It's hard to watch at times, but why do you think it has resonated with audiences so much?
You know, it's interesting. My 19-year-old watched it before I did.
Okay.
And I think for teens, it's really validating for them in a way to have the world see some of the things they're grappling with themselves and their classmates, and how difficult it is for them to be navigating this. And I think for parents, I mean, honestly, it's all of our worst nightmare, right? Mm-hmm. That our children are being exposed to ideas and behaviors that they're not able to understand, they're not able to make good decisions around, and that in a heartbeat, they could make a poor decision and that it could change their life forever. So I think it's that sort of compelling that comes from both realistically validating and sort of horrifying at the same time.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And I want to talk about some of your takeaways and what you say parents can potentially learn from watching the show, starting with how on this new online world is such a new thing to navigate, something that we didn't grow up with.
Right. I think that's probably, to me as a parent, and I work with a lot of teens and a lot of families, the thing that is hardest is that it's hard for us to even imagine the amount and type of information that our kids are exposed to on the internet, because we didn't have access to information that same way, right? We had TV.
Yeah.
You know, you might go to the library and pick out a book. It was more effortful, it was slower, it was less content, more tightly constrained. It was much, I mean, your parents may not have known some of what you were accessing, but they had a good idea of what it was. Right now, some of the information and ideas and behaviors, they're really disconnected from the parents' own values and beliefs. It's very deep rabbit holes that you can go down very, very quickly. And the speed at which kids can be making decisions and engaging in behaviors really alters the game. So one of the examples that comes up in the show is how quick it is to post a nude picture, right? It's one of the things that starts this whole thing off. I won't give away the whole show, but
right.
You know, right now it's, 10 seconds for a kid to snap a nude photo and post it online. There is no time in 10 seconds to make a good decision about that. When we were kids, right, you had to find a camera, you had to take the picture, you had to go get it developed somewhere, You had to sort of physically hand it out or take a photocopy of it. There were so many places in there where you could make a different decision.
Good point.
Places to slow down the gap between the impulsive teen brain, which is impulsive, we're not going to change that, and the consequences. And one of the things that the internet has done and social media is it's just closed that gap. There's no space between the impulsive thought and the behavior. And so the consequences are much bigger.
Absolutely. And bullying is not new, but the internet and social media has really taken it to another level.
Absolutely. And you know, the news that's coming out right now about not only things that are real, like actually taking a nude photo, but the AI deep fakes and things that we don't even know if they're real or not, how quick it is to disseminate them, how wide the spread is, how easy it is to say something online that's cruel, that the adults are unlikely to ever see, so there's no consequence for it. And yeah, bullying and cruelty are a part of adolescence. That's been true for a long time, but I think social media and the internet has made it more widespread, faster, more cruel, and so it's more frequently of an issue for us to deal with.
Right, you're hiding behind that screen. And so new challenges, like you said, require new parenting. So talk to me about that.
I mean, I think one of the things I get asked all the time is, well, isn't the solution that kids should just not have social media, right?
Oh, and not have a phone.
Absolutely, like let's just cut off, access to all this content. And I mean, I do think there are some smarter ways in which we can be moderating how the amount and type of information our kids can be accessing. But I do believe deeply that technology isn't reversible, right? It's very difficult to just remove that access. And I think it's naive to think that social media is all bad. I think like anything, any new technology, there are aspects of it that are good. Pew Research had a great study out this week on teens' views of social media. And interestingly, more teens, almost 50%, were saying that they think social media is bad for their mental health and their peers' mental health, way up from even a couple years ago.
Interesting.
So kids are seeing this impact. They also say, though, continue to say, it gives me access to social interaction that I don't otherwise have. And for big chunks of teens, teens who are isolated in other ways, it's access to a community that they may not have in real life. So it's not, I don't know that the controlling access is the only strategy we have. I think as parents, we need to be educating ourselves about what conversations and what skills do we need to be introducing to our kids at what ages and with what sort of level of explicitness. And two of the ones that come up for me in the show are, one, really open communication around these issues of decision making. What is bullying? What is cruelty? What happens to pictures and information online? What is misinformation? How do we talk about the things that you were? How do I know what you're reading? How do we talk about it? So you have the opportunity to hear my perspective on the subjects that you're researching online. Getting those communications going earlier, I think we didn't think we needed to have them, right? Like,
yeah,
did
and
you,
that early, like,
right? Did you
like
need to? These are 13-year-old kids on the show.
You were even saying maybe we need to start talking like at 8, and that just I can't wrap my brain around that.
But that's our own naivete as parents. I think that we need to get over. This information is out there. Any kid with access to the internet is capable of accessing it, and so we probably need to have the conversations more open, more explicitly, and sooner than we thought we did. And really be clear about what is safe and unsafe behavior and the consequences of it. Like, not think that they can figure it out. A 13-year-old brain is not very well developed. Like, they really need to deeply understand in a way that only their parents can help them shape, or the adults in their life.
And the importance of probably listening a little more, right? And just because that was part of it, as Jamie's parents were around, but he didn't necessarily feel heard or understood in this series.
And at one point his dad is sort of like, he's not out getting into trouble, right? This is, and that's his own reflection of what it was like when he was a teen. You were a bad teen if you were out smoking or shoplifting or hanging out with the bad kids. That's when you were getting into trouble. That's not what it's like for these teens. It's the teens in their room all the time, deep in the internet, not out with their friends, not playing sports, not having an in-life peer group. Those are the ones getting into trouble. And we have to change our understanding of where the danger is, right?
Yeah.
But yes, that's communication and asking what are we doing in our room all the time, right? And what's on that computer.
Oh my gosh. Okay, and so just maybe coming in if they're on the computer a little more and asking what are you diving into and having a little more conversation.
Yeah, and I think, everyone has different, privacy is tough. 13, there are a couple different age points, right? A 13-year-old is pretty young.
Yeah.
And probably should not have uncontrolled access. And then the last thing I'll say is the other, topic here is the subject of anger.
Yeah.
Jamie has a lot of anger.
Right.
That comes from his parents in a lot of ways. So he has to learn how to manage that, and parents have to have a role in that.
Thank you so much for being here.